Hi and welcome to Gardening with DC. In today's seed series video, we're here in the Hunter Valley at Bimbadgen Winery with winemaker Richie Doan, and we're going to have a quick look at the life of wine, pun intended. So Rich, tell us a little bit, let's start off with sort of a term that gets bandied around sort of in quite a sort of trendy way, certainly in Sydney, but tell us, what is viticulture? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, thanks Davo for having us on the show today. Viticulture is, I guess, the cultivation of vines. So there's a lot that goes into winemaking, and very much it all starts out in the vineyard. And today we're on one of our properties here in the Hunter Valley. This is where we do pretty much everything that starts as far as growing the grapes, cultivating the soil, getting soil nutrition, health, all those things to make a plant grow really well.
So viticulture, it's all about the vine. It's not just standing around quaffing wine, all of that sort of malarkey in lovely oaky type warehouses and things like that.
No, it very much all starts out here in the vineyard. If I guess there's a saying in the wine industry that you can't make anything good out of something that's bad. So we say, if I get a turd, I'm not going to polish that into something that's lovely and silky. So very much everything starts out here. Winemakers will try and tell you differently, but it all starts in the vineyard.
Okay, so let's sort of move that on a step further. Beady-eyed people there will see that behind us there isn't much foliage on the vines themselves. All the vines are deciduous. That's correct, isn't it? All viti plants.
Absolutely.
They're all deciduous. So we've got a period of seeming dormancy, no foliage. But what's actually going on, Rich? I can see that there's quite a lot of what we might call sort of a fodder crop between some of the rows there. So what's going on when things are seemingly dormant?
Yeah. So typically winter is the time when the vines start to go dormant. Leading into winter, we like to have the vines holding onto their leaves for quite a long time. That throws a lot of carbohydrate reserves as they come out in spring and start to burst again with their buds and fruit and things. So what we're doing now is really driving soil nutrition in the vineyard. So we've gone through and had this vineyard pruned all this week. Actually, it's been finished, which was nice and quick. And now we're going through and just creating soil nutrition. So we we deep rip every second row to aerate the soil. And then we go back through and sow a manure crop or a green seed crop. So this year we've got peas, vetch and some grasses being sown in every second row, which will then get cultivated and mown and thrown under the vine to create organic matter and soil nutrition and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot happening out here now. All of our maintenance happens during winter. It's an exciting time, just like it is when we're picking the fruit, but we very much have to start the growing season from now for next vintage. So lots happening. We're not just off drinking wine in French chateaus and things like that.
So key takeaway there is, yes, you can't just disappear to Europe for the summer or anything like that. There's lots going on, lots of human intervention to produce the crop afterwards. So let's sort of jump further onto that as part of sort of the interventions that you're going on now and then afterwards. So obviously we're effectively got a cultivated cropping plant, the crop being the fruit, the grape. What do you do in terms of encouraging flowers and then the setting and the holding of that fruit, so you've got as much fruit as possible to play with?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of research into, I guess, bees as one product that helps with flowering, and we've found that having hives on our own properties does create more flowering and in turn allows us to get a higher crop level off when we're picking.
What about in the ground? Is there anything else going on with when you deep rip there? Or are there any anything going on there?
Not a hell of a lot. We do still fertilise as well to make sure that everything has a good start to grow up nice and healthy. We also go through and we're going to put some organic mulch underneath the vines as well to help soil moisture. We do lots of things out here as far as fertigation. We also do use some synthetic chemicals, which I know is a bit of a no-no in lots of places. But yeah, there's lots happening out in the vineyard.
Yeah. So a few things, and definitely to help the flowers become fruit. So bees coming here, are they imported, or have you got your own?
We've got our own hives.
Got own hives.
Own hives on site at our second property, about 2 kilometres east from here. And back to the first question, sorry. So to create flowering or manipulation of the vine, we go through and prune. So the two techniques that we use is spur pruning, which we can have a look at a little bit later. It's leaving 2 buds on each cordon essentially. We leave about 12 per vine. So that is manipulating how much our growth is going to be and what our yield is going to be. And we also do a process which is called cane pruning. So that goes through and cuts off all the new wood, leaves the second year wood, and we lay that down as well. It's a lot more labour intensive, but again, some of these old vines, these vines here are over 50 years old, so they kind of need a little bit of a haircut and need to be reworked and things.
Now, let's maybe deal with what might be potentially a little bit of an urban myth around the age of a vine and the quality of the fruit. I think, Rich, maybe there's a little bit of a view that the older a vine is, the better the fruit. Is that true?
Look, it's not totally untrue, that's for sure. I guess from planting a vineyard, it does take about 5 years to get anything that's kind of worthy of being in a sort of quality level of wine. So let's, for instance, if we're planting a Shiraz vineyard, probably for the first 2, 3 or maybe 4 years, that will go to a rosé styled wine or a lighter styled red. So once we get to 5 years, then we're starting to get a bit more balance. We're getting a little bit more concentration and flavour into the vine. But as far as age and vine, it depends what kind of area in the market you want to play as well. Older vines certainly don't yield as much crop, so they're a lot more expensive to run, but the quality is fantastic. But there is always a point in the vine's life cycle that it gets to, and it just is starting to get a little bit tired. Like we need a good drink and something to eat, at times as well, to keep going. So it is a little bit of a myth. I think probably more around the 20-year mark. They're really, really well balanced. They're producing fantastic levels of crop, and the concentration and flavour and everything are fantastic in them. Once you get to about 50 years old, they are really happy in their environment. So they're doing what they want to do and they're going to continue to. But they do start to struggle with yield a little bit. You will get some dead arm things. So a dead arm is, on a grapevine, there's your main trunk, and then you've got the cordons. We have the fruit coming off these cordon laid down wires. We'll have a dead arm, which means that one of those will actually start to die off and won't produce anything. So that's when we go back through and give it a proper haircut, lay down a new shoot and see what happens. But it is true. The older the vine is, typically the better sort of quality wines you'd get, but the yields are very much shorter and smaller.
So let's so we've done sort of we've been a bit more horticultural sort of focused so far. Let's maybe just finish off with a couple of wine points. So tannins, Rich. Again, it's a sort of a term that gets bandied around, but what is a tannin? What is it actually doing? Is it a friend? Is it a foe? Lots of people will go to Celador. Oh, it's too much tannin, not enough tannin. All of this sort of stuff. Just try and sort of unlock a little bit of insight for us on tannins.
Yeah, so I guess just quickly on the winemaking side, tannin is very much a style thing as well. So if you don't like a lot of tannin, don't drink Cabernet. Don't drink a Nebbiolo. These are all very high tannic wines, and that is derived from their skins. So with tannin, it is a friend, not a foe as such. We don't like it in some styles, but that's what we manipulate in the winery itself. But with tannin, it typically is derived out of the skins and the seeds of the grape. So I guess with sunshine, with moisture, with everything, we're trying to protect the flesh of the grape as much as we can, because that's actually what we're making the wine from, with the influence of the skins and things as well. So the tannin is in the skins and the seeds, and that is what is protecting that flesh. So it's keeping it nice and moist, allowing us to have lovely, I guess, balance of fruit, skin, and also what we call is our must, which is the juice that's coming out of the grape as well. So it's very important out here, but it's also more important once we get into the winery. So 95% of grapes, or red grapes, actually have white flesh. So the only way to get colour is actually to soak them on their skins. And we love tannin in red wine, maybe not too much sometimes. But we use tannin very much to protect colour in the wine itself as well. So whilst it's soaking on its skins, we are extracting tannin, and then we'll also do some additions of tannin into the ferments as well, which is really trying to focus on protecting colour. So we love purple hues, not brown oxidative colours, and tannin is working really, really well in that. And then with white wine, we don't love a lot of tannin. So we actually get in there and press it off its skins very quickly, so we don't get too much tannin. And then we play a few little tricks in the winery to really shape the palate and minimise the tannin that we're using.
Trade secrets, we'll call those trade secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Look, Rich, that's been absolutely fantastic. Thanks for showing us here the Binbajan Winery, and see you next time on Gardening with DC.